Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something you may not want to hear. Life will not always be fair, but your joy was never meant to be rented from circumstances. Happiness is not a paycheck you wait for. It is not a prize someone hands you after you've been through enough pain. It is a decision, a discipline, and a declaration you make every single day. Happiness is a decision, not a result. It is not something you stumble upon when the stars align, when the bank account is full, or when every relationship in your life is perfectly balanced. It is something you choose deliberately and intentionally, no matter what your circumstances may be. The moment you tie your happiness to a certain outcome, you give away your power. You tell yourself, I can't be happy until, and that until becomes a prison that keeps you from living fully in the present. When you decide to be happy, you reclaim control over your emotional state. You stop waiting for the right conditions and start creating them within yourself. You understand that life is unpredictable and you cannot dictate every external factor, but you can govern your internal world. Your choice to be happy is not dependent on what others do or fail to do. It's a personal, private commitment you make to yourself every morning when you wake up, regardless of yesterday's disappointments or today's uncertainties. Too many people live their lives chasing after the next big thing that they believe will bring them joy, a promotion, a relationship, a new house, or a certain number in the bank. But every time they reach that goal, the feeling fades and they set their eyes on another target. The cycle never ends because they have mistaken happiness for a prize at the end of a race. In truth, happiness is the decision to run the race with gratitude, whether you're leading the pack or just catching your breath. Choosing happiness is an act of courage. It means standing in the middle of chaos and saying, I will not let this steal my peace. It means refusing to be held hostage by the negativity around you. This choice doesn't mean you ignore challenges or pretend they don't exist. It means you choose to see beyond them. It's deciding to look for light when the darkness seems overwhelming. It's the understanding that joy comes from a well within you, not from the shifting sands of your circumstances. Every day presents a fork in the road. You can choose to react to life or respond to it. Reacting often means letting your emotions be dictated by whatever happens around you, while responding means you act from a place of conscious choice. When you decide to be happy, you stop being a passive passenger in your own life. You become the driver, navigating through storms without surrendering your sense of direction. That is the difference between living by default and living by design. Deciding to be happy also requires discipline. There will be days when everything in you wants to complain, when you feel justified in your frustration, when the easier route is to sink into self-pity. But discipline says, I will focus on what I can control. I will choose gratitude over bitterness. I will direct my thoughts toward what lifts me up, not what drags me down. Over time, this discipline becomes a habit, and that habit shapes your entire experience of life. Happiness as a decision also changes how you treat others. When you are no longer relying on people to make you happy, you release them from an impossible burden. You stop expecting them to fulfill your joy, and instead, you bring joy into every interaction. You become someone who uplifts, encourages, and inspires, not because your life is perfect, but because you have chosen to cultivate an inner strength that radiates outward. This choice is tested the most when life is hard. When the promotion doesn't come, when the relationship ends, when the diagnosis is given, these are the moments that prove whether happiness was a passing feeling or a personal commitment. It's in these moments that you remind yourself, I decide how I feel. I decide the atmosphere of my soul. I decide the story I tell myself about what's happening. And that decision becomes your anchor in the storm. You may not be able to control the seasons of life, but you can control the climate of your heart. You can wake up each day and set the temperature of your attitude before the world tries to do it for you. That is the essence of choosing happiness. It's a daily, intentional resetting of your mind toward joy, peace, and hope, no matter what comes your way. When you internalize that happiness is a decision, you stop living as if joy is a rare gift that life occasionally hands out, and you start living as if it's a power you carry with you at all times. You begin to see challenges as opportunities to practice your choice, to prove that your happiness is unshakable, rooted not in what you have or don't have, but in who you have decided to be. Adversity is the training ground for joy. It is in the moments when life presses hardest against you that the true depth of your happiness is tested and strengthened. Just as muscles are built by resistance, joy is cultivated through the weight of trials. Without difficulty, happiness remains shallow, fragile, and easily broken. But when you've walked through valleys and still found a reason to smile, that joy becomes unshakable. Adversity demands that you dig deeper than surface level positivity and find a source of gladness that isn't dependent on easy days. Every obstacle you face becomes an opportunity to discover the resilience inside you. When life is smooth, it's easy to feel good, but it is in the friction, the unexpected setbacks, the disappointments, and the heartbreaks that you are forced to ask yourself what truly sustains you. Adversity strips away illusions and reveals whether your joy is situational or rooted in something far stronger. This process may feel uncomfortable, but it is in this discomfort that you grow. In seasons of adversity, you learn the difference between pleasure and joy. Pleasure comes from what's happening outside of you. Comfort, entertainment, convenience. Joy comes from what's happening within you, gratitude, faith, perspective. When external pleasures are removed, you are left with the raw truth of whether your inner joy can stand on its own. The more you endure hardship without losing your joy, the more unshakable you become. Adversity also refines your focus. When life is hard, you stop chasing what is trivial and start cherishing what truly matters. You appreciate simple blessings that you may have overlooked before, a kind word, a helping hand, a moment of peace. Hardship sharpens your vision, showing you that joy isn't found in perfection, but in presence. This renewed focus allows you to experience a deeper, richer form of happiness that isn't tied to constant achievement or ideal conditions. The training ground of adversity teaches you endurance. It forces you to keep moving when every part of you wants to stop. That persistence builds not only strength, but also gratitude, because when you fought through the fire, you learn to appreciate the warmth of peace. This appreciation makes your joy sweeter because you know the cost of getting there. You understand that the victory is more valuable because of the battle that preceded it. There's also a humility that adversity brings to joy. When you've been through struggles, you are less likely to take blessings for granted. You understand that good moments are gifts, not guarantees. This humility keeps you grounded and reminds you to savor joy while you have it. It also gives you compassion for others who are walking through their own storms, allowing you to extend encouragement instead of judgment. Adversity shapes your character in ways comfort never could. It teaches you patience when solutions aren't instant, courage when fear tries to paralyze you, and creativity when resources are limited. These qualities deepen your joy because they give you the confidence to face future challenges without fear. You know you've survived before, and you can survive again. That knowledge brings a peace that no easy life could ever provide. When you embrace adversity as training, you stop resenting it and start using it. You begin to see hard times not as punishments, but as preparation. Every challenge becomes a chance to strengthen your emotional endurance, to refine your gratitude, and to fortify your joy. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this building in me? That shift in mindset transforms adversity from a thief into a teacher. In the heat of trials, joy often starts small, just a flicker. But with each act of resilience, each choice to stay hopeful, that flicker grows brighter. Eventually, it becomes a steady flame that no wind can extinguish. This is the joy that lasts, the kind that isn't stolen by disappointments or destroyed by delays. It's a joy that has been forged in the fire, tested under pressure, and proven to be real. The truth is, joy that has never faced adversity remains untested and uncertain. But joy that has survived storms stands as a pillar of strength in your life. Every hardship you endure becomes another layer of foundation for that joy, making it stronger, deeper, and more meaningful. The more you train in adversity, the more prepared you are to face whatever comes next with unshakable gladness. Joy is not denial, but domination. It is not pretending that everything is fine when it's clearly not, nor is it forcing a fake smile to mask the weight of your challenges. Joy is the ability to acknowledge the reality of your circumstances while refusing to let those circumstances control your spirit. It is looking at the facts, recognizing the pain, and still choosing to rise above it. This is not an escape from reality. It is mastery over it. When you operate from joy, you are not ignoring the existence of hardship. You are simply refusing to give it the power to dictate your inner state. Denial says, there's no problem here, while domination says, there may be a problem, but it will not rule me. This shift in thinking is what separates those who crumble under pressure from those who remain steady in the storm. Joy is a conscious act of taking authority over your own emotions, regardless of what is happening outside of you. Domination begins in the mind. It is a decision to focus on what strengthens you rather than what weakens you. Life will always present reasons to be discouraged, but it will also always offer reasons to be grateful if you choose to see them. Joy demands that you direct your attention toward the things that feed your hope instead of the things that drain it. This mental discipline transforms joy from a fleeting feeling into a constant force. Choosing joy as domination means you stand firm in the middle of uncertainty. You may not have all the answers, but you refuse to live in fear. You may feel pain, but you will not surrender to hopelessness. This kind of strength doesn't come from pretending bad things don't happen. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you have the capacity to endure and overcome. Joy becomes your shield, protecting your heart from being consumed by negativity. True domination through joy also requires emotional self-leadership. It is the ability to say, I will not be dragged into despair by this situation. I will rise above it. It's about taking responsibility for your own peace rather than waiting for someone else to hand it to you. You stop allowing external events to set the tone for your life and start creating that tone from within. This is how joy shifts from being fragile to becoming unbreakable. This kind of joy changes how you approach problems. Instead of being reactive and impulsive, you become deliberate and intentional. You don't waste time asking why life is unfair. You focus on how you can respond with wisdom and strength. By refusing to let adversity own your emotions, you keep a clear mind to make better decisions. Joy in domination allows you to take control of the one thing you can always control, your response. Domination is also about reclaiming your narrative. Hardship will try to tell you that you are powerless that your future is at the mercy of your circumstances. Joy rewrites that story. It says, I am more than what I'm going through. I am more than the pain I feel right now. I still have the power to choose how I live, think, and believe. This mindset keeps you from being defined by your lowest moments. Living in joy does not mean you never cry, get frustrated, or feel the sting of disappointment. It means those emotions don't get the final say. You acknowledge them, process them, and then decide to move forward with hope. Domination through joy is about rising each day determined to protect the atmosphere of your heart, even if the atmosphere around you is full of chaos. When you practice joy as domination, you carry an inner stability that no one can take from you. People may misunderstand you, thinking you're ignoring reality, but you know the truth. You are mastering it. You are choosing to live above your circumstances instead of under them. That choice empowers you to navigate life with strength that others can see and feel. The more you exercise joy as domination, the more it becomes second nature. You stop being easily shaken by life's unpredictability. You walk with a confidence that is rooted in something deeper than momentary happiness. You develop a resilience that allows you to confront challenges without being consumed by them, turning every trial into another opportunity to assert your authority over your own state of being. Your words shape your emotional state. Every sentence you speak is not just a reflection of what you feel. It is also a seed that grows into what you will feel next. The language you choose directs the focus of your mind, and the focus of your mind determines the atmosphere of your emotions. If you constantly speak in terms of defeat, frustration, and limitation, your emotions will follow that path. But if you speak words of hope, possibility, and gratitude, you will begin to feel those very things taking root inside you. Words are powerful because they carry images, and those images create emotional responses. When you say, I'm exhausted, I can't handle this, I'm falling apart, your mind immediately paints a picture that matches those words, and your body begins to respond as if that picture is true. On the other hand, if you say, I have the strength to get through this, I'm learning, I'm growing, your mind builds a different picture and your emotional state begins to align with it. The words you choose are either watering seeds of strength or feeding weeds of despair. Your emotions are not only influenced by external events, they are shaped moment by moment by the dialogue you have with yourself. You may not be able to control everything that happens to you, but you can control the language you use to describe it. Two people can face the same challenge, but the one who frames it as an opportunity will feel empowered, while the one who frames it as a curse will feel defeated. The difference isn't the situation, it's the words they speak about it. Speaking positive, life-giving words doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you choose to focus on solutions rather than problems, on growth rather than setbacks. Your words become a tool to direct your emotions toward action rather than paralysis. When you say, I will find a way, you open the door for creativity and perseverance. When you say, there's nothing I can do, you close that door and lock yourself inside a prison built from your own language. The words you speak also have a way of creating momentum. A single statement repeated often can either build you up or break you down. If you constantly declare, I'm not good enough, you reinforce that belief until it becomes an emotional reality. But if you declare, I am capable, I am learning, I am improving, those words will slowly begin to shape a new emotional landscape. What you speak consistently, you begin to believe, and what you believe consistently, you begin to feel. Your words are also a mirror for your subconscious mind. They reveal what you believe deep down, and they can also rewrite those beliefs. Even if you don't feel strong, speaking strength can begin to reprogram your internal narrative. Over time, this repetition reshapes how you see yourself and how you respond to challenges. It's not about pretending. It's about training your mind to dwell in a place that supports your emotional well, being instead of sabotaging it. This principle works in the smallest moments of daily life. Complaining about a long day can make you feel more drained, while expressing gratitude for what went well can lift your mood. Saying, "I hate mornings," can make waking up feel like a battle, while saying, "I'm grateful for a new day," can shift your mindset toward energy and possibility. The words may seem small, but the emotional impact is huge. Your words also influence how others respond to you, and in turn, how you feel about yourself. When you speak in a way that uplifts others, you create an atmosphere of encouragement, and being in that environment strengthens your own emotional state. When you speak negativity, you invite negativity back into your own space. This exchange between your words, your environment, and your emotions is constant, and you are the one who decides the tone. The emotional state you live in most often is the result of the vocabulary you use most often. If your language is filled with words of possibility, resilience, and gratitude, your emotions will reflect that. If your language is filled with words of fear, frustration, and complaint, your emotions will reflect that too. You may not realize it, but every conversation, whether with others or with yourself, is shaping how you feel in the moment and how you will feel later. Changing your words changes your emotions, and changing your emotions changes your life. When you intentionally speak words that align with the emotional state you want to live in, you begin to design your inner world instead of being a victim of it. You can speak yourself into fear, or you can speak yourself into courage. You can talk yourself into despair, or you can talk yourself into joy. Your emotions will always follow the direction your words point them toward. See blessings and burdens. Life will always bring weight for you to carry, and while some of that weight may feel unfair or unexpected, hidden within it are lessons, opportunities, and strengths that would never have been discovered without the struggle. Burdens force you to slow down, to pay attention, to reevaluate what truly matters. What feels like a setback on the surface often contains a seed of growth waiting to be uncovered if you choose to look for it. When a burden presses on your shoulders, it can be easy to focus only on the discomfort. But if you shift your perspective, you may realize that this weight is building you up in ways you didn't see before. Struggles often push you towards skills you never thought you needed to develop: patience, resilience, creativity, or empathy. Without the burden, you may have stayed comfortable, but comfort rarely calls out the best version of you. The blessings inside burdens often come in the form of clarity. When life gets heavy, you begin to see which priorities truly matter and which ones can be left behind. The noise of distractions fades, and your focus sharpens. What once felt urgent may suddenly seem insignificant, while what truly matters becomes impossible to ignore. This shift in focus can transform the way you live long after the burden has been lifted. Burdens can also deepen your connection to others. When you face challenges, you often discover a community of people who step in to help, encourage, or walk alongside you. These connections may have remained hidden without the shared experience of hardship. You begin to see the beauty in human compassion, and that shared strength becomes part of the blessing hidden in the difficulty. Sometimes the blessing comes in the form of self-discovery. Carrying a heavy load reveals capacities you didn't know you had. You learn that you can endure more than you believed possible, that you can adapt in ways you never imagined, and that you can still find moments of joy even in seasons of trial. This awareness stays with you, shaping your confidence for future challenges. Burdens can also train your gratitude. When life is easy, it's tempting to overlook the everyday gifts you have. But in the midst of struggle, the smallest blessings, a kind word, a moment of rest, a breakthrough, become precious. This heightened gratitude changes the way you experience life, allowing you to find joy in places you once took for granted. The blessing in a burden may also be the wisdom it leaves behind. Every difficult season carries a lesson, and that lesson becomes part of your life's foundation. It shapes the decisions you make, the risks you take, and the way you guide others. Wisdom gained through experience is far more powerful than theory. It's lived, felt, and proven. Seeing blessings and burdens requires intentional vision. It's a choice to look beyond the pain and search for purpose. This doesn't mean denying the difficulty. It means asking what the difficulty might be producing. A burden can break you down, or it can build you up. It depends on how you choose to interpret it. That interpretation shapes whether you emerge bitter or better. The more you practice seeing blessings and burdens, the more naturally it comes. You stop dreading challenges and start anticipating what they might reveal. You approach life with curiosity rather than fear, knowing that even the heaviest weights can carry gifts inside them. This mindset transforms how you experience both the good and the bad. Over time, this perspective changes the entire way you live. You begin to carry your burdens differently, with less resentment and more openness. You develop the ability to move forward with hope even in seasons of uncertainty, trusting that somewhere inside the weight you carry, there is a blessing waiting to be discovered. See blessings in burdens. Life's heaviest seasons often arrive without warning, wrapping themselves around your days and testing the strength of your heart. In the middle of these trials, it's easy to see only the weight, the fatigue, and the inconvenience. Yet within every burden, there is something quietly shaping you, something molding your character, building your resilience, and drawing out qualities you might never have uncovered if life had stayed light and easy. The discomfort becomes the very soil where growth begins to take root. When you carry something heavy, it forces you to slow down and pay attention in ways you wouldn't if everything were effortless. You begin to notice the small details, the moments of kindness from others, the beauty in a single quiet moment, the strength that rises within you at the most unexpected times. Burdens demand that you live with more awareness, and in that heightened awareness, blessings begin to reveal themselves. There's a strange clarity that comes in seasons of heaviness. While the burden may obscure certain dreams or desires in the short term, it also strips away what is unnecessary. You start to recognize the difference between what you want and what you truly need. This clarity is a blessing because it realigns your focus, helping you spend your time and energy on the things that matter most. Without the weight pressing on you, you might never have been pushed to sort through the clutter of your life. Burdens also become a mirror, showing you parts of yourself you may not have seen before. In struggle, your patience, courage, and perseverance are tested, and in that testing, they grow stronger. You discover that you are far more capable than you thought, and you realize that you've been carrying an inner strength that only needed the right challenge to draw it out. That realization is a gift you take with you long after the burden has been lifted. Sometimes, the blessing inside a burden is the way it deepens your relationships. When life gets heavy, you are more willing to lean on others, and in turn, others step in with support, empathy, and understanding. The shared experience of walking through difficulty together forges bonds that are not easily broken. You learn to appreciate the presence of people who stay, who listen, and who help shoulder the weight, even when they cannot remove it. The blessing may also be found in the gratitude that burdens awaken. When your days feel overwhelming, the smallest good thing, a meal shared with someone you love, a laugh in the middle of chaos, a quiet evening of peace becomes deeply meaningful. This heightened sense of gratitude changes your perspective, teaching you to value what might have otherwise been overlooked. Burdens have a way of magnifying the beauty in simplicity. Burdens can also refine your faith in the process of life. They teach you that every difficult step is shaping something within you, even if you can't see the full picture yet. The process of enduring hardship builds trust. Trust in yourself, in the lessons you're learning, and in the idea that there's purpose woven into even the hardest seasons. This trust becomes a stabilizing force, helping you remain steady no matter how much weight you carry. The hidden blessings often arrive as wisdom you couldn't have earned from reading a book or listening to advice. This wisdom is carved into you by experience, making it unshakable. It becomes part of how you move through life, how you make decisions, and how you guide others. You start to see patterns, connections, and truths that only hardship could have revealed, and that insight becomes one of your greatest assets. Learning to see blessings in burdens also changes the energy you bring to each day. Instead of approaching challenges with dread, you begin to approach them with curiosity, wondering what strengths or opportunities they might uncover. This doesn't remove the difficulty, but it transforms how you carry it. You begin to hold the weight differently, not with resistance, but with the quiet confidence that there is something in it for you. Over time, this way of seeing becomes part of who you are. You stop measuring life solely by how easy or comfortable it feels, and you start measuring it by how deeply you are growing, how much you are learning, and how meaningfully you are living. The burdens don't disappear, but your relationship with them changes, and in that change, you find a strength and perspective that will carry you through every season to come.